I am someone for whom story is paramount. Today, I'm delighted to announce that one Sanders Sides-inspired animatic has blown me away so thoroughly, I haven't been able to stop thinking about it since its release a month ago. Karma, by Public Spam Account, is a gripping, visually intriguing, emotionally arresting piece that makes excellent use of color and abstraction to tell a story that recaps and reframes three of perhaps the heaviest Sanders Sides episodes: selfishness versus selflessness, dealing with intrusive thoughts, and selfishness versus selflessness redux. Within a mere 2 minutes, artist Public Spam Account creates a stunning and engaging reimagining of Thomas's own creation. It's bursting at the seams with passion, talent, skill, and a striking use of color to create a tiny masterpiece that'll stay lodged in any fander's mind for days. It certainly did for me. So, if you'll allow my inner Logan to come out here...
I don't think I'm smarter than everyone else. I know I'm smarter than everyone else.
Today, I'm going to break down exactly what makes Karma such an intense delight. Mainly, its use of color and how that color forms a narrative. And stop. Within 1 second, Public Spam Account makes a gripping hook for the audience. As soon as I saw this, I was hooked. The pensive, gloomy blue changing so suddenly makes for instant visual intrigue. We think it's going to be one color, but its change surprises us. The next few shots are drenched in orange. At first, I thought this was going to be about the so-called orange, the mysterious dark side we have yet to meet as of this writing. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Normally, the color orange represents things such as enthusiasm and happiness. But here, the artist Public Spam Account uses it for the opposite effect. It chokes character Thomas and the suit and tie he prepared for the wedding. He is torn up. If he decided to go to the wedding instead of the callback, why does he feel so bad? Do his actions and feelings make him a bad person? Here, orange visualizes that stress and the oppressive weight of moral quandary. Interestingly, in Buddhism, orange is
symbolically connected to perfection.
Logan? What are you doing here? This is my video. You can't just butt in like this.
You started to talk about Buddhism, and frankly, I find the multiple religions of the world to be fascinating, if nonsensical and contradictory at times.
Okay. Can I get on with it, please?
If you insist, I do not care for this voice. I did not sound like this before. Lack of consistency is so grody. Farewell.
Okay, bye. Say hi to everyone else for me. Thomas tried to be perfect, and it's strangling him. And then, as the music picks up frantically, we transition to the courtroom of Thomas's mind, where he fights a losing battle with his own emotions. All throughout this, the transitions lack sense, which contribute to its dreamlike quality. Thomas himself, complimenting the artist when this video first came out, noted how it's almost exactly like he sees music videos in his head. And then I realized the same thing was true for me. Watching this feels like a dream. Unlike real life or even movies, there's no travel time or establishing shots, which makes each transition feel ethereal. Even in Thomas's imagination, the clawing and clutching stress of orange holds everyone prisoner, with excellent poses communicating the intensity of the situation. Also, the way Thomas's panicked gaze darts in time with the music is just brilliant. We're in the courtroom for a large chunk of the runtime, and orange is practically a character itself. While this section does serve as a brilliant artistic recap, the jarring colors give it an entirely new identity. Color consumes everyone's actions and displays their inner feelings. The frantic whirls and heavy, dramatic strums of music complements this intensity wonderfully. Here, no one knows who to trust. They can't trust Thomas, and they don't even know if they can trust each other, or even themselves. Janice accuses Patton, who lies to Thomas and then himself, while being terrified of Janice's ability to deceive. Intense emotion results in shocking, jarring, clashing colors. They're bright and they're loud. The fast-moving shots convey urgency, confusion, and the claustrophobic tension of indecision. Even if you watch the entire thing without sound, its dynamic movements remain entrancing to watch. In one of my favorite shots, Patton's faltering fury seamlessly transitions to Thomas, the orange exchanged for a beautiful war of red and yellow. He's followed by Virgil, who's overpowered by opposite colors, and yet the lurking antagonism of orange remains, whipped up into a frenzied orange-red. Along with Virgil's agonized position, the change to sour, stomach-twisting green genuinely feels like a punch to the gut. Although, in a blink-and-you'll-miss-it frame, Thomas, not Virgil, is the one drowning in bitter green moments before. The close-up on Virgil's eye isn't for nothing, though. The next few shots are a flurry of activity and meaning. But here's the thing. They're all from Virgil's point of view.
I'm too emotionally unstable for jury duty. Can I be excused? No!
First is this striking shot of Virgil back when he used to be a dark side, a past that he's now ashamed of. It's the first entirely colorless shot that we've seen so far, blistering in its monochromatic desolation and scathing in its subtextual self-hatred. Why? Because the next shot shows Virgil sitting in a similar position, yet here he's looking in the opposite direction, angrily declaring something to the judge. The body position here is intriguing. He's defending Thomas, one arm tensed as if to leap from his seat. Whereas in the previous frame, he's utterly relaxed, content in his conniving role to make Thomas feel as awful as possible. He speaks towards where Thomas sits, spitting some inaudible venomous scorn, and relishing in it. This juxtaposition is fascinating and heartbreaking all at once. Yet, even surrounded by Virgil's signature color, the sly, relentless green cuts an agitated swath across his recent memory. He's flustered. He is not himself. No one is. Next, Roman is starved down to his monochromatic identity, savoring the judgmental power he holds. But this is hypothetical. All of these monochromatic versions are Virgil's fears. For now, the next frame is Roman. He's restored to his full color, thudding down his gavel like the blade of a guillotine as he sentences Thomas, mouth twisted in regret. All throughout this animatic, hyper-realistic detail is given a shrug so indifferent it would make Virgil jealous. Intentional swaths of impressionistic ink strokes tell us everything we need to know. So little conveys so much. Even Logan doesn't escape the colorless plague, his potential worst qualities displayed with a wicked smirk and superior hand gesture. The lack of colors shows everyone at their worst extremes. All of these hypothetical personalities don't care about Thomas's well-being, which the real sides definitely do. The real Logan is tense and sweating nervously, gripping his shirt as Janice's signature color, in this world the color of lies, bleeds onto him. He may pretend to be aloof, but that's, well, a
Spartan!
Logic, unfortunately, has no say in matters of the heart. And so he is isolated, his dark blue logic pitted against the lies everyone is trying so desperately to stop. And then there's Patton. Patton is constantly talkative and upbeat, yet here, it's his grayscale ghost doing the talking, scarred and pitted with thorns of black ink, subtle manifestations of his own self-repression, his character development literally eating away at him, mouth stretched into an unconvincingly wide smile. Denial is poisonous. As furious red crushes his gentle blue, the real Patton presses his lips together, unable to bear it. With the camera slithering closer, Patton argues desperately, his own colors grappling with Janice's in a glorious abstract scribble of internal chaos. And then, in a flash that's less than a second, the blue of morality is exiled as Janice takes center stage, fighting for his chance to be heard with infuriating, starving urgency. In this beautifully animated close-up, Thomas looks on the verge of tears, and so does Patton. Thomas is at the lectern, physically drained and emotionally exhausted, once again surrounded by the predatory, inescapable orange. Janice surveys the scene with characteristic charm, while he's really watching Thomas like the snake he quite literally is, waiting for the moment to strike. And Thomas is feeling that pressure more than ever. Up until now, Patton, Janice, and Logan have all made eye contact with him at some point, wanting to make their reasons heard. Thomas himself reached out to Patton early on to make sure he was okay. Now, though, he retreats into the shadow of himself, unable to make eye contact with anyone, too emotionally devoured to do anything but stare into the void. Speaking of a lack of eye contact, in the next shot, Roman isn't meeting anyone's eyes either, shoulders slumped in shame. Janice is aghast at his own failure. He didn't convince Thomas to lie here. Roman decides to help Thomas through this mess with a reassuring hand on his shoulder. This is the first time in the entire piece that gives off a sense of reality and calm, such as using normal lighting and colors. The danger is over. Well, for now. Janice retreats. Before he does, though, we get a clever yellow speech bubble filled with a sharp X coming from Thomas. Lying, that is, Janice, will always be a part of him. And so the threat lingers, giving the following events an undercurrent of unease. Here, the song's vocals give way to a beautifully patchy section. It almost sounds as if the instruments are being played in reverse, which somehow seems fitting, as the slice of life montage gives us a break from the tension, while also luring us into a false sense of security. I really love the intimate relatability of this shot, and the fact that Thomas has his eyes wide with worry, while Virgil, a figment of his imagination, has his eyes closed peacefully. And as an aside, this is the best she's been able to do. So, congratulations, public spam account. You've officially done a good job at making Janine feel inferior about her art. So yeah, good job. Congratulations on that. Good job. Virgil! Patton! Look! I shapeshifted into a cat! Now you just look like you'll murder me in my sleep. Falsehood. Patton is utterly incapable of doing something like that. Oh, hey, Logan. Didn't expect you to show up again. Sorry, I don't know what came over me. Logan is right. Patton would never... Oh, I think I know what this means. Oh no. No. Not him. Now, I have a feeling we should all skedaddle out of here. Janine has a video essay to finish, and I have to figure out how to get back to myself. I look forward to seeing the finished result. Yeah, I'd better get back to Thomas. We all know what happens if I'm not there to keep an eye on him. Yeah, Virgil, you go do that. And in the meantime, I gotta go hide all my deodorant. See ya. The next shot, although simple, is one of my absolute favorites. With the striking minimalistic appeal of black on yellow and the backbone of a well-written character to work off of, Artist Public Spam Account conveys an electric amount of personality with a simple sneer. Janice stalks away, vanishing into a door as the screen is overwhelmed with a looming mural of a vicious, unstoppable sea monster. The threat Janice presented is about to give way to something far more deadly. Thomas checks his phone, confronted with the stress of the wedding, as Orange again makes a brief return. And then we have this gloriousness. If you enjoy abstract art like I do, any moment you pause this is instantly desktop wallpaper material. Surrounded by whirlwinds of colors, this is mental anguish portrayed with abstract visual perfection. Because as creativity falls, that can only mean one thing.
Remis! I knew it! It was you! You made Virgil think of those thoughts! How could you? Okay, look. Take this deodorant and just go. Get out of here. No one wants you.
If that were true, I wouldn't be here. And without this, you'll be stinkier than me. Good luck completing your ridiculous analysis. Or should I say, anal cis?
The personification of intrusive thoughts dials the stakes of this narrative up to 11. Thomas's home is transformed into a nightmare, with blood curtaining the screen as if it's the stage of a grisly play. And in a way, it is. Thomas is trapped within Remis's territory now. The picture above his couch is replaced with an image of Remis's pointed teeth, which makes an excellent transition to the real thing. And red, of course, is a universal symbol for danger. In the beginning of the Anamatic, Thomas's house was reliable. It was a shelter. Now, it's reduced to deranged scribbles and bloody gradients. Remis is someone to be avoided at all costs. But it's already too late for that. In the series proper, Remis himself doesn't have anything to do with the wedding narrative, but here, the intertwining of those two stories raises the stakes of this situation as a whole and for the characters themselves. What will happen at the wedding? If Thomas can't trust his own thoughts, what'll happen to him? His terror is already affecting the others. Poor Virgil is terrified out of his mind. Patton is squirming with discomfort, while Logan manages to reserve his skepticism. While his expression isn't as extreme as the others, sometimes it's the quietest ones that are the deadliest. Seeing him like this makes my stomach clench with nervousness. This is the first time that Patton and Logic are dyed with the stress and mistrust of green, while the red on everyone chains them to Remis. By arranging these shots, we can see that Virgil is looking down in fear at the other two, while Patton and Logan are looking at each other. They're all each other's prey, turning on each other due to Remis's plague-like influence. If Remis isn't stopped, it'll be a cannibalistic massacre as anxiety, morality, and logic devour each other by simply unraveling. Thomas can't help them. Right now, he can't even help himself. Time is running out. Side note here, I really respect Thomas for taking something as deadly and real as intrusive thoughts seriously. He doesn't avoid talking about difficult stuff when it matters. For that, he has all my respect. Next, we see Virgil arguing vehemently and desperately with Logan. I love how his desperation was conveyed through his hand gesture. Trapped within sickly green and dangerous red, the only remaining fragments they have of their true selves are their words. Remis yells a statement, his speech bubble thorn-like and jagged. And the next shot is this really cool comic-like panel. Logan skeptical once again, Patton terrified, his eyes literally encaged behind clashing red, Virgil looking gloriously furious, while Remis glares like a rabid dog. While the sides have returned to their associated colors, I love how the artists still put little details of green on them all. The stress and fear is literally bleeding from Thomas. In a really cool shot, the colors become reversed in visual whiplash as Remis's mental stranglehold increases. He dances manically around Thomas. Something I think is particularly eye-catching is that here, Remis is drawn with the usual black outline, but in the next shot, Remis isn't restrained by an outline. With his claw-like hands, pointed nose, and sharp collar, he contrasts Thomas, who is defenseless and vulnerable. Remis is literally unchained. This is Thomas's last chance. The pain of morality and morality's pain shocks Thomas back to normalcy. His pain mirrors what Thomas was feeling moments ago, and this close-up on both their faces between the two shots unites them as firmly as a heartbeat and its owner. Importantly, we're back in the real world. This bookends with the beginning, hinting that we're drawing to a close. But, apart from the very beginning, this is the only other section in the entire narrative where Thomas and the sides are not together. While in previous shots they've been separated, they were always within the same location or scenario, but not this time. Because of this change, the emotional shift is subtle, but it's there. Something feels off. And that something is the absence of Thomas. Both Virgil and Logan look at him in concern, apologetic in their lack of answers. They didn't devour one another under the influence of Remis. But perhaps, just perhaps, is this worse? The simple sorrow of not knowing what to do? This simple, helpless sorrow distorts itself into a blade of accusation as Virgil demands justice, demands some sense and consistency be pulled from all this chaos. But his anger, instead of being directed at the unstable Remis, is revealed to be directed at Logan, an ally. And isn't a weapon deadlier when pointed at one's friend? At one's self? Remis's attention is diverted as Thomas finally shows up, with the exhausted resignation to finally confront himself, no matter the consequences. Both Logan and Virgil look guilty as Thomas finally explains himself. Yet these same lyrics reflect that they are just as exhausted as he is. Patton looks at Thomas for reassurance. We get another close-up of Remis, and we can see that he's frowning. Just like Janice, he ultimately failed. The colors in this following group shot are muted and depressing. Everyone's not simply exhausted anymore. They're haggard, shell-shocked, drained. They just fought for their very lives. Remis is the only one looking at the camera, and if you look closely, you can see he's actually stretching in relaxation, the scumbag. But then, Logan claps Patton on the shoulder, looking the friendliest we've ever seen him, literally bringing light to the situation. With this glorious change comes a surge of hope and happiness. We then see a close-up of Thomas's feet as he stands next to Logan, with Virgil in the background. In contrast to the beginning of the animatic, the color orange is no longer threatening or suffocating. It's been pushed out of the way. Its lighter hue telling us that it's harmless. It has been beaten. All the colors are softer now, showcasing a quiet victory over the forces that plagued everyone, and yet symbolizing the remaining resignation of what must be done. Thomas embraces Logan, and at first I thought this was a hug of gratitude, but it's actually a hug of farewell, maybe even of apology. He couldn't follow logic this time. Logan's mouth is set in a firm, disappointed line. In a wonderful, heartbreaking touch, Logan is literally glowing from the inside out. The colors are the softest, gentlest we've seen yet. Apologetic, yet also celebrating the vanished darkness, damp with underlying sorrow. We see a quick flash of Thomas at the wedding before seeing a close-up of the strength of their embrace, which then transitions to perhaps the most detailed shot in the entire thing. Thomas clutches a bouquet of roses, grip contorting the paper, and against the red, the dark shadows stand out as symbols of resignation and sharp, bitter regret. It's a heart-twisting moment in which the consequences of his actions and his actions themselves become clear. He buries his face in Logan's shoulder, completely overcome. He's sorry he couldn't and can't use logic to get out of this. Then Thomas is at the wedding, still surrounded by gentle colors, yet frowning, a single tear falling. It's red, not blue, symbolizing the remains of regret and turmoil still inside of him. Cherry blossom petals cascade around him like deflated hearts. The distraction of word crush symbolizes his guilt. Here, red means defeat and anger, and he clutches the bouquet in his fist. Cleverly, the next shot is an altered view of the opening, the orange brightened in annoyance. Similar to Janice, Thomas can't help but letting a sneer slip loose at the tangle of anxiety, guilt, anger, and self-imposed unfairness he's gotten himself into. Interestingly, the next shot shows him speaking in slow motion, talking to the wedding guests about some unknown topic while saying the song lyrics as well, bitterly biting the word in half. It's simultaneously a fourth wall break and an action that tightens the consistency of the world within this animatic. The switch to Happy Rose represents the mask that he puts on for the sake of everyone else. The screen flickers black to further highlight the intensity. He clenches his glass of champagne in suppressed anger. There's a quick shot of him staring wordlessly at his phone before the glass trembles again. Behind Thomas, there's a tangle of red as he's unable to stop himself thinking about everything that has led him to this point. His chest is scratches of gray. He's become empty. He's become what Virgil was terrified of everyone else becoming earlier. And then this beautiful and painful final shot. Thomas slumps, miserable, isolated. Roman reviewing some sort of script, Remis and Janice haughty at their defeats, Virgil taking refuge in his hoodie, Logan rubbing the back of his neck in a tired, unsure kind of way, and perhaps saddest of all, Patton, the literal heart of it all, weak-kneed and looking as if he's about to collapse. This somberness is contrasted by the song's upbeat chorus. Just like Thomas and all of the sides, it's impossible not to dwell in shock, awe, and wonder at everything that has just transpired. Karma sums up some of the most complex plot points in Sanders' sides in a visually arresting and emotionally captivating way. Its use of symbolism through color is riveting, creative, and meaningful. From the very first moment, color grabs us by the throat and doesn't let go. It's here to tell a story, and tell us a story it does. The song Karma by AJR has a repeated mantra that's used to hammer home the narrative. The animatic story is so tightly tied to the song, which in turn references a line about karma in the show proper, that together they become impossible to forget. What else can I say to the incredible, awesome, talented person behind the channel public spam account? To the person who created this genius piece? Thank you so much! This animatic made me cry twice, and writing this analysis was a blast. This was just such a fun project to do. Editing it was incredible. I hope you really liked it and everyone else enjoyed watching it, and I want to give a huge shout out to Mad Hatter, who made an excellent Remis. Seriously, thank you so much. And Thomas, if you're watching this as well, I really hope that you liked it too. Bye!